start the recording. So I'm recording since we're doing some demos on some very specific things that might be of use. So the first demo is looking at SketchUp and how do you do different roof slopes. And so I'm gonna do that here. And so as this comes up, of course, this may not be exactly like yours is. Come on, there it goes. But it'll give you sort of the idea. And I have to get my tool sets up and all that kind of stuff. You guys all know how to do all this. Standard styles, views. That'll probably be enough. So let's say that we've got something like this and it's 40 feet by 25 feet. Just to, I didn't use feet there. Let me undo that and do it right. 45 feet by 25 feet. There. So let's say that that's my building and I want to do a couple of different roof slopes on it as I go. And of course, I'm going to make it kind of simple where I've got something like that. This may be 10 feet high. And then maybe there's a cool part of it over here that comes up as a second story, just to demonstrate how you can do kind of cool roof slopes and multiple roof slopes. So the first thing to do is get onto an end view. And have a plane that you can draw on. And so I'm going to draw out a little bit. So let's say this is going to be one roof slope here. So I'm going to come out 2 feet. And let's say this is one roof slope. Now I'm actually going to draw it as far as I figure that I can. And let's say that that's, I know what my slope is. Let's say it's 10 feet on 4 feet. Something like that. Let's say that's my roof slope. And then I can continue on at that roof slope until it hits something. And that's kind of cool. Oh, too much. And then that's the little piece right there that I want to get rid of. And then you can make that your roof going across, right? So there's one roof, and I have to finish it up now, make it come back and all that kind of stuff. So that would be one roof slope that you could do, and it can come over however far you need it to come over. So that you've got one roof slope doing its thing. And that's how you would get it done on that side. So that would be one roof slope right there. And then maybe over here, you've got a 2-foot overhang, and it might even be a different roof slope over here. So you have to kind of, build it up by parts. I'm not doing that very well. Let's see if I can get just, that's just not going to go. I wonder if I'm straight. Looks like it. So that's one way to go about getting it. And you can see I do have 2 different roof slopes as I'm looking at it. Let's see if Now I can get rid of that little line. Yep. And I can probably get rid of a line here, make it all one piece of roof, and get one there. So that's one way you can do it. And then, of course, I can build my roof on the top one also. Okay, so that's really kind of a typical way of doing it that you get to see how it works. Now, another way is to just actually think about the roof because you know the dimensions of the roof. So let's say that this is the base of my roof. And I know the slopes. So maybe it's 15 feet. Oh, 15 feet in one direction and 3 feet. Come on, I want to go straight up there. I hate it when it doesn't let me go upwards like I want to. Where's my upward direction? Come on, upward direction. Wow, it's just not give. There's a way to click something to make it go up in the blue direction, but looks like I'm gonna have to make it go like that to get it. I don't know why it won't let me go that direction. That's kind of weird, isn't it? Not letting me go upward.
I believe you need to hold control and then move the mouse. Then it will.
Yeah, but it's only giving me red and green. It's not giving me blue. That is really bizarre. I have not had that happen to me before, where I can't get the blue direction. Yeah, it's always giving me that one. Isn't that weird? And I'm in perspective, which should not be a problem. Wow, that is just too much. Me doing it over there. Well, that's just the most weirdest thing I've ever seen. See how it'll give me the red and the green, but it won't give me the blue. There's a bunch of commands that you can use, which I don't know, that force you into one of those. Orbit, axes, move or reorient the drawing axes. There we go. Well, that is just too incredibly bizarre. Maybe it's because I was in parallel projection accidentally. Nope. Well, I'm sorry, but it's just not doing it for me. I can't draw straight upward for some reason. So I'm going to have to pull that all the way up so that I can get enough that I can do it on. That is just the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I've not had those problems before. So let's say I come over 15 feet and up. Maybe 5 feet. and that becomes my slope. And so if you know what your slope is and you can work with it, then you can make that your roof and make it a component over here if you know what your roof is. So if you know what your roofing components are, rid too much there. There we go. So you can make your specific roofing components and then make that a component. And then you can make any ones of those that you want. And when you put them together, you can intersect them. So if I have another one that goes the opposite direction, let's say I've got another roof section going this way. Let's see, how do I want to draw that one? I know what I'll do. I'm going to make that one a component. Or a group. And I'm going to make a copy of it. And then if you rotate that, you can go the other way with it too. So those are just some of the things that you can do with a, basically getting back to doing primitives, right? Wow, this is really messed up. It's not finding my axes at all in any way. So sometimes you just have to battle it through and find a way that you can see it. So if you have two of them that intersect, then you can decide what you're supposed to keep and what you're not supposed to keep with the intersect faces. And then when you explode those, now you actually have lines of intersection that you can work with. Like there you have an actual real valley, right? So you can work with that and then you can get rid of the other part. So if this part happened to have been bigger, you could work with that and do it that way. Does that make sense to you? Like,
Yes, yes, it is. Now I do have an idea how to put those things together. One more quick question. How do I read those numbers? I shared the link of my roof numbers. Which 12, which 4, which 10, which 15? Would you
okay,
take a
let's
look,
see.
please?
So this is, so, oh, did you share them in the chat?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, so that's interesting. Which way is the 10 on 12? Well, so the 12 is always your horizontal number. So like if you've got 4 on 12, it goes up 4 vertically for every 12 horizontal. So on the 10 on 12, it goes up 10 vertically for every 12 horizontal. So that's how you would do that. Okay. And so I'm trying to, so that should do it on those. Yeah. So most of it is a 10 on 12, except for this one little part that's the 4 on 12 on your little corners, right? Oh, and across the front. I got it. So what I would do is I would make an entire 4 on 12 roof, right, with those dimensions, and make a component, make a group of it, and then make an entire 10 on 12 roof, and then place one in the other and subtract, and kind of intersect those faces and get rid of what's inside. Okay, so you've got a 10 on 12. You're going to have to get a couple. You've got 10 on 12 to the main thing, and then it cuts off and comes 10 on 12 down, right? And then you got a 4 on 12. So you do have something sort of like this, where you'd have a main 10 on 12 that's the entire piece, it's one whole wedge. Cut your piece out of it and make a new 10 on 12, and then do your 4 on 12 roof and put it up against it. Okay, did that make sense? You're essentially going to make one roof that's your 10 on 12 main roof that's your whole entire building. So people need to be able to see what I'm talking about here. So you're going to make this whole 10 by 12 roof, and it's one entire roof. Okay, 10 on 12. This whole shape that I'm showing you. So you're going to make that roof with that center line 10 on 12. Then you're going to draw this rectangle and take it away. And you're going to draw this rectangle and take it away. Then you'll draw from this line where it's left a 10 on 12 down, and it'll end up like right around here. And then you'll go on this one with a 10 on 12 down, and it'll line up here. So now you're going to have a 10 on 12 roof, and then you're going to take away this front part too. Okay, so you're going to take away this part, this front part, and this. You're going to make this kind of like U shape and take it away. And then you're going to put this 10 on 12 roof on, and this 10 on 12 slope. And then you're going to make a whole new roof that's 4 on 12. And you're just going to build it, a 4 on 12 roof, and stick it in there and intersect them. Okay? So that should do it. Yep. It's kind of cool. You make 3 different roofs to do it. So that's cool. Okay, so now let's go ahead. What I wanted to do is show AutoCAD and show a couple of other different ideas. So yesterday we made a SketchUp version of that desk, and it was all wood and it would go together. But I want to make one now that's smaller. So I'm gonna make a box. I'm going to start at 0, 0, and I'm going to make it, I'll do a slightly different size. This time I'll do a 36-inch by 20-inch, just for fun. And I'm only going to make it an 1/8 inch thick, because I'm going to pretend that this one is sheet metal. So there's my little sheet metal part, and I'm going to make it look like sheet metal. And then I'm going to bend it down. I'm going to make another box. And I'm only going to come out 0.125. And I'm going to bend it down, and I'll make it 4 just because. Okay, and it's kind of sitting on the end. So now I can do a mirror command, or I can just copy that. You guys do know the copy command. And I think you know mirror, but copy will work. And I'll put that corner right there. So now I'm thinking I can make that one piece that's a weldment. Now, since I'm doing it in AutoCAD, it won't flatten itself out. So I'm going to make a copy of that. Well, before I do that, I'm going to figure out how to attach these. And I think it would be cool if there was a little lip that came underneath that I could use bolts on. So I'm going to make another box. And I'm going to bring it in. There we go. I'm going to make it come outward for right now. And I'll bring it out 2 inches. And I'll make it 1/8 tall. And now I'll move that one. Move. So that this little corner here is sort of right there. And then I can copy it. And see how I just made a cool little piece that I could just set right on top. Got to get the right little spot. The bottom corner can come over to here. Now see how that could literally just sit right on top of another piece. Oh, I've got another piece to make. Let me make another box. And I'm going to make that other box go from here. And I'll make that one come out 30 inches. And I'll make it point come downward. Okay, so I don't have it quite in the right place. I have to move it to get it to match up to where I want it to go. And I might just be a little too big with it. And I'm going to move it down because I have them kind of intersecting each other. So I'll move it down. There we go. So see how I could, if I was making this out of aluminum or something, I could have a little plate and then I could bend this plate to make it. So this is using that bending idea. Now, this is going to be, yeah, it won't be super heavy, but maybe I want to be able to bolt this together. Okay, and look, another way I could do this, if I wanted to, I could move this in a ways. And I could move this one in a ways. Yeah, I can see these little buttons here and I can make it go to like the inside. And then if I wanted this to be all like really flat, I could move it. Now they're coinciding with each other. If I move it up again. So I have a few things I could do. Wouldn't that be cool? To make one like that and just slide it right in there. And then how would I attach it? I could just, with a couple of bolts, attach it really, really easily in the back. So I could think of bolting it together. I could think of welding it together. And that's kind of a cool way to make it, right? Super simple. I just got two square pieces and I bend this one and I slide this one in. And then I would want probably some holes here that if I were to draw a little circle, and I'm not going to put it in a super great spot, but I'll just draw a little circle there and I'll press pull it through a couple of those. Now I got some holes. And that's how I could just put a little bolt in the back. Wouldn't take much. It would only take one bolt in the back on each side. And it would pretty much, the weight of everything I put on this would hold it. And then whatever I use for legs would sit under here. That could be pretty cool. That could be pretty cool. And if I press down on this end here, it'll try to pivot about this front edge and the bolt will hold it together. So two bolts could hold this together. And Janice asks if I'm recording, and I think I am. Yes, I am. I am recording. So this is another way of thinking about it. And by just playing around a little bit, look at how simply I've made that. It's kind of a neat thing. I've got one piece. And then this is, even though right now it looks like a bunch of pieces, I'll make that into one piece in a minute. So there's a whole nother thing. Now, here's the other thing is we know that sheet metal is a little bit flimsy, right? This would sag under its own weight. So that's where you start thinking about how could I stiffen it up? And if you put a little bend on a piece of sheet metal, it's really, really strong. And so how could I put some bends on it that aren't really in the way too much? Well, one way to do it, which is a really cool way, I'm going to show right now. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this and now I'm going to make a copy so that if what I do doesn't work out, I haven't ruined my original one. And I'm going to get rid of this piece just so that now I'm working really just on this piece. So how can I do that? Well, if I were to cut kind of a slot here, I could actually bend a little piece of that slot down. And I think there's a slot tool here for me to use. Somewhere there's a slot. Where's my... Maybe I don't have quite as many slots in AutoCAD as I do in Inventor. So I'm just going to make a rectangular slot here. And I'll just put it kind of like right here. And I'll make it maybe 10 inches long by 0.5. And I'll just cut that slot. You see how I have a slot there? Now, if instead of getting rid of that, I just made kind of a little slice right here and left this piece, I could actually bend that piece down. And how big would that piece be? It would be about 10 inches, but I'll make it a little bit less. I'll make it 9 by about 0.375. Sorry, it would be about 9 by 1/8. Let me get that one right. Be about 1/8 thick. And it would be, oh, I'll make it a box. It'll be even easier. I don't have to rotate. See how I could just push that piece straight down and it would actually be what's called a stiffener bar. Okay, so I could cut out a piece and then push down what's left. And it would look like, and this would be an integral piece. This would be the same piece. So these would be unioned, be all one piece. I don't know why it's looking like more than one, because it's really just one piece. See how that little piece would come down? And so you know that that would stiffen this up. And I could even do one of those up here. So I could do those here, there, and everywhere, and it would totally, totally stiffen this thing up. And you don't even have to make them straight across. You could put them at cool angles. And it would not keep you from putting flat things on the top, but it would add stiffness to this through the strong back. It's called the strong back. So if you were doing this in Inventor, it would be a pretty simple thing to do. You would just cut that hole and just drop a flange down. In AutoCAD, you have to think about it a little bit more. Does that make sense? How you can stiffen this up so that it can be stronger. I could put a little flange bent down all the way across the front too, if I felt like it. So let me make a box. You get to my top view there. So there we go. So I don't remember how long I made this. I'll make it 28 by 0.125. And then I'll make it 0.375 thick. And I could go put that along the front. And I think you've probably seen enough things like this where if you do a good job putting little braces on things, it just totally stiffens it up. And then I can union those two also. Now, as a flat plate, these would just swing out, and I would have my bend. So I can stiffen this with a lot of bends. So that would be a very, very simple piece for them to make in the plate shop. And it would be pretty light. You could figure it out. You could find its total volume and figure out how much it weighs, or you could figure out how much plate it is and look it up. I'm not too concerned with that right now. But you could do the same thing with this bottom piece too. You could put some supports along it. Likewise, if you don't want to do it that way with bending, you could just get a piece of what's called angle. It looks like this. Just a little piece of aluminum angle. It's very cheap. Okay, it's 1/8 inch material. It's 1 inch in this long direction and 1/2 inch in the other direction. Look, 2 feet of it is only $3.68. That's pretty cheap, right? And so you can get it, and then you would just saw it, and you could either bolt it on or weld it on. So it would be your choice. So this would be even easier to do if that's how you wanted to do it. Another thing that you might do is channel. So what if your end pieces were made out of channel instead of a bent part? You could actually just use some channel. Let's see what they've got and what sizes are available. Well, they don't have very good pictures, but you can buy channel, and instead of bending it, you could have a piece of channel and you could literally just bolt this whole thing together. All you would need to build it is a drill. That's kind of another cool way to do it. Bolted, channel, T, I flange, W flange, bent part. These are all things that you can do. I kind of like plasma cutting because it looks so cool. And it's just fun. And if you plasma cut it, you could even put your initials on here or say that this is, you know, my Design 320 desk or something cool like that. There's a lot of cool design work that you can do when you plasma cut. Okay. If I wanted to, I could put a whole bunch of little holes back here. And on the bottom side, I could mount a light so that I would see lights coming up out of the back, just to kind of be kind of cool looking. Or I could even put the lights on the side and it just would be cool looking. Mount some groovy LEDs that change colors as you go. You could really have some fun. All right, so I'm hoping that you get just some good basic ideas. Potentially, if you can't find the piece that you want here, you just make it. You make yourself a piece of C that's really easy to bend. Maybe you want to make it out of all aluminum, but you want the top to be wood. You can do that too. So many, many, many things. Once you start thinking about the pieces, would these two pieces be the same part? Yes. I'm going to union maybe those two pieces and those two pieces. Now that's a piece that I could buy and I could weld that on. Or maybe I could buy let me put another one on top of here. We go 1 inch in that direction. There we go. So another thing I could do is I could actually make some pieces. Now, if you were going to manufacture a bunch of desks that are sort of specialized, this is what you would do. You would just make a whole bunch of these things, right? And then you could set these up to be whatever size the person wants. And that's just some simple cutting, right? And you would have a basic design, and then as you stretch it and move it, you can just scale it as you go. Then you could basically just have a bunch of pieces that you've made, and you could just put some flat plates on top and bottom and just have some bolt holes. Another fun way to do it. Okay, this is a very simple piece to either get purchase, buy, or make. Purchase, buy, or make if you're making it out of metal. Perhaps you want to do these that are customized and you can put somebody's name on here. Now, I don't know that I've got the emboss command on here. I don't. In Inventor, you can do some lettering and embossing and cut it through, and it's really cool. But you're welcome to make neat designs on here to make it look more interesting. I encourage you to do some design work. So maybe you want to maybe you want to be able to have some cool designs that you can press pull. Maybe you want some, some things that look cool. You can make yours look much more cool than that. But just to show that you can do some good design work as you look at these. I don't want to do your design work for you, but you could do cool patterns, you could do numbers, you could do letters, you could do an Archimedes spiral, all sorts of cool things that you can do to make your design look more fancy. That's what I'm hoping that you'll do. You'll have a basic conceptual way of putting it together. And look, just from this, I've come up with 2 or 3 ways. I can do one plate that's bent at this corner, bent at this corner, bent at this corner, and bent at this corner. And yes, this can be made. It is possible to do these bends. Drill some holes and put a piece on. So that's one way. Or not drill holes and weld it. Or make it out of multiple pieces that I've done interesting things to and bolt it or weld it. So does that give you a few ways that you can go, that you can be thinking about what your sketches might look like? And look, I did this in AutoCAD. I think you could see how you could do it in SketchUp or Inventor. Inventor, maybe even the most easy for all this, because there's more tools for you in Inventor. More tools in Inventor. But that's okay. We have a modeling class, Design 328, that is really about how to use the tools to model. I'm more interested that you have a couple of ideas, and you can present all these ideas. You can say, this is my basic shape, and one way I want to put it together might be this. Another way might be all one piece. I need to maybe stiffen it a little bit. Here's one way. I could stiffen it just by welding one of these pieces onto the back side of it. Very, very easy just to weld those on. I don't need to do a lot of cutting and pushing and pressing and pulling, although that can be cool and fun. Every time that you make a bend, it gets more strength in that direction. Okay? So there's some ideas and demonstrations. Again, this is a pretty simple thing. You get to make, bookshelves, desks, awning, all sorts of other cool things that you get to think about making, as well as desks and furniture. Outdoor seating is really, really cool also. Just think if you wanted to do, here's a cool idea. Let me make another one. So I'm going to use this cool spline curve. And I'm going to offset that now. And I'll attach these ends. Now, if I had a cool piece of metal like that, just think what I could do to make that into a chair. It's not wanting to catch the whole thing. I'm going to have to make it into a region. Oh, I know why. I was in 2D wireframe. Look at that as a cool chair. And what if I wanted to put another piece down here? So let me go with something like, oops, I did the wrong kind of arc. Hold on. And I could even, if I wanted to, make this all out of one piece, but I like the idea of doing something to weld it. I'm not being very efficient here, but see if it'll find that. Look at how simply I can make a cool chair shape, right? And then I can do cool stuff in here. And so that's like super, super fast. And if I wanted to, I could make that one piece by bending it. But I like the idea of even putting some sort of a little clamp or a bolt up here to put that together with, so that it's very simple and I can take it apart and pack it and ship it very easily. So now I've got it. That's one of the most simple designs for a chair that you could come up with. So outdoor furniture wise, this would be really cool. There are other ways that you could do this too. I've seen them going the opposite way, where they're kind of, let's see if I can see what I want to, where these are slices that are all put together. So these are like sliced pieces that are all put together and kind of stacked with little spacers in between them and a rod. There's another whole cool way of putting these together. Anybody have an idea of what I'm talking about there? Probably not. Let me do a quick demonstration of that method too. Here's another cool method. So I'm just giving you ideas on how to put things together. I'm going to say that this is 0.5 diameter tubing. So it's got a hole in it. And those are going to be no, that's not a piece of tubing. Sorry. It will be in a little bit. But I'm going to make some copies of those. I'm going to put those in some strategic points. Sorry, I have myself in SketchUp mode with where I'm putting these things. There we go. And let's see, now I want to draw a spline from, and I'll go quadrant to quadrant. It won't be perfect, but you'll get the idea. Ah, darn it. I clicked the wrong button there. I'll get it. Quadrant, quadrant. There we go. And now I can offset that one. And now there's a bunch of trimming to do. I don't know why I'm in some weird trim mode. I don't know why that one won't trim. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to make, just to put something there. And I need a line here. So you'll see what's going to happen in just a minute. There we go. Okay, so now I've got kind of a shape, and I'm going to extrude that. Well, it looks like I have to make a region out of it first. Oh, I'm in 2D wireframe. Let's make sure I get out of that. There we go. And I should be able to press pull that. Now check this out. These are all spots where rods can go through. So now if I copy those, make sure my ortho is on. You can see that I can essentially make a very cool kind of a chair. I missed one of them. See how I could put spacers in there. And so this would all be flat cuts. Very, very simple to make, flat cuts. And you just run a rod through each one of these. And you've got another kind of, I call it a slice chair. So these ability to make slices and then just put some spacers in between and put a rod in. It's a very effective way to make complex shapes from flat, plasma cut, or laser cut. So that's kind of a neat idea that you can play with too. All right. So there we go. There's a few different ideas for you and a couple of demonstrations. Any questions before I better save all these? No, I don't think these are worth saving. They're just demos. So does anybody have any questions before we log off? Okay, then that's it. Tomorrow, we'll talk a little bit more about how to put the project together and where you ought to be with it and being able to annotate your cool ideas. But hopefully this gave you some ideas on how to develop the product from the point of view of how will it be made. Cool. There we go. So the